I think to a certain extent we are all economists in the sense of we apply economics, sometimes unknowingly. So a good example of this is something that I describe in the book as thinking on the margin. And that means that, rather than thinking about an average impact of something that's happened in the past, we should be forward looking and think, if I do this extra thing, what will the costs and benefits of this additional thing be on top of everything that's happened? So let me give a couple of examples of that. So when we're making public policy decisions, for example, lots of people always say, we should spend more on infrastructure, right? You hear that across the political spectrum. And one of the things that they hold up for justifying why we should spend more on infrastructure is they say stuff like, if you look back, this economic study shows that when we built the interstate highway, by reducing travel times, it boosted productivity, boosted GDP, made us all better off. Okay, that's fine. But you know what? Just because you built one interstate highway system doesn't mean building a second interstate highway system would have the same balance of costs and benefits. And we all apply that in our lives every day. When you go to the bar, I don't know if you guys drink, but when you go to the bar, you have the first pint and it tastes good and it's a nice hot summer's day. It cools you down slightly. You enjoy the warm, fuzzy feeling as you get to the bottom. Then you think, well, maybe I should have a second one. You might have the second one. That might make you feel even more kind of relaxed and a better conversationalist or whatever for that period. But when you get to the third or the fourth, you start thinking, tomorrow I could feel slightly rough if I have this. This might impair my judgment in some ways. I've got to drive home. And if I have this third or fourth one, I'm going to have to leave my car here for a day or so and then come and pick it up. So the costs and benefits only make sense when thinking about the marginal choice, the next choice that you're making in your life. And that's a key economic insight that we kind of all apply. But then when it comes to public policy decisions, we often forget. We all recognize in our lives that there are trade-offs in terms of when we travel. I remember at the start of this pandemic, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo came out with those immortal lines that politicians so often say, where they say, if all my lockdown measures just save one life, I'll be happy. It's clearly absurd to suggest that we can put an infinite value on the life of any given New Yorker in making social decisions. And we recognize as individuals that that's absurd. We recognize that we could reduce car deaths to near zero if we set the speed limit at 3 miles per hour. We don't set it at 3 miles per hour because we recognize that there'll be huge economic costs in terms of everybody driving that slowly, in terms of both reducing the flows of trade, in terms of stopping us getting to our destinations as often. So we accept in our real lives that there are these trade-offs. But when it comes to public policy, we often tend to forget these lessons. And that's why I want to, bring to life to people that actually a lot of these economic concepts are very simple. And a lot of the mistakes that are being made in this pandemic is because we've forgotten these simple lessons.